The Boeing 247 is regarded as the first modern airliner that ushered in the era of comfort, safety, and reliability of commercial aviation. When introduced, the Boeing 247 was far superior than anything before and immediately made the competition redundant. The first Boeing 247 took to the air for the first time on February 8, 1933. It had been developed from and contained aerodynamics and structural elements of the Boeing monorail and the B-9 bomber. The development team had been headed by Chief Engineer C.N. Monteith with the philosophy of maximizing speed while minimizing costs. The 247 was quite radical and revolutionary for its day, being a twin-engine, all-metal, low-wing monoplane with a retractable undercarriage. It was also one of the earliest aircraft to incorporate an autopilot, and the later model 247s even had pneumatically operated de-icing equipment. The Boeing 247 was able to carry 10 passengers with a crew of 3 and was 50% faster than its competitors. When it entered service in May 1933 with United Airlines, it traveled from San Francisco to New York in 19.5 hours, 7.5 hours quicker than any other airliner of the time. The Boeing 247 had ushered in and revolutionized air travel, making all competitors outdated overnight. Another significant improvement that the Boeing 247 brought with it was major improvement in the comfort for passengers. Cabin air conditioning was introduced for the first time, and vibration noise was considerably lower than other aircraft of the time period. United Airlines was the main operator of the Boeing 247. As the 247 was much superior to anything before it, other airlines, including Transcontinental and Western Air, were keen to get orders in, so to keep up with United. However, Boeing and United Airlines were both part of the United Aircraft and Transportation Corporation, and thus Boeing barred all orders for 247s until United had received their aircraft. This decision would result in a relatively short production run for the 247. Transcontinental and Western Air were forced to approach other manufacturers, and Douglas produced the DC-1 prototype, which became the DC-2 to fulfill this requirement. The DC-2 could fly faster, further, and seat more passengers than the 247, and was instantly popular around the world. The DC-1 flew only 6 months after the 247, and resultantly, the Boeing 247 failed to sell. By the end of 1934, all major US airliners, but one, were either flying the DC-2 or had the DC-2 on order. Additionally, it would take to the introduction of the Boeing 707 for Boeing to crack back into the Douglas-dominated commercial aircraft market, having only built 78 commercial aircraft throughout this time period. In 1934, a Boeing 247 was entered in the MacRobertson Air Race from England to Melbourne, Australia. The year 1934 marked the centenary of the state of Victoria, and to celebrate the special occasion, the Royal Aero Club, with sponsorship from the business tycoon Sir Macpherson Robertson, set up the 1934 MacRobertson Centenary Air Race. Providing a prize pool of £15,000, the race will start from Mildenhall, England, and finish in Melbourne, Australia, with compulsory stops at Baghdad, Allahabad, Singapore, Darwin, and Charleville. The race would test the endurance of flight. The race was set up with 2 separate divisions, speed and handicap. The 247 was flown by Roscoe Turner and Clyde Pangborn, and the crew encountered engine problems throughout the trip, as well as making a 3-hour navigational error. The Boeing 247 eventually finished the race in 92 hours, 55 minutes and 30 seconds, finishing in 3rd place behind the KLM DC-2 Ivor and the purpose-built DH-88 Comet Racer, which won the race. The Model 247D was an upgraded version of the 247, designed to try and keep it up with the DC-2. The 247D incorporated full NACA cowlings and variable pitch propellers. Top speed was boosted from 182 miles per hour to 200 miles per hour, and cruise speed also increased from 155 miles per hour to 189 miles per hour. Some original 247s were upgraded to the 247D standard. The 247 became Boeing's first commercial aircraft to be purchased by a non-US airline, when German airline Lufthansa placed an order for two 247s. A single 247 was also ordered by a private owner in China. Final production of the Boeing 247 was 75 aircraft. At the outbreak of World War II, Boeing 247s were converted into training and transport aircraft and designated C-73s. 10 were also purchased by the Royal Canadian Air Force, who used the type for training and transport duties until 1942. Some smaller airliners used the 247 right into the 1950s, and some were still flying in the 1960s. The Boeing 247, although being produced in small numbers, would still prove to be very valuable for Boeing. Lessons and experiences gained from the monomail B9 and the 247 would accumulate and be used in the Boeing Model 299, which would become the B-17 Flying Fortress. The Boeing 247 set a new precedent for commercial aviation. It offered a service that no other aircraft before it could compete with. Although it was quickly outclassed by the DC-2, the Boeing 247 remains a significant and important part of aviation history. This video is proudly sponsored by the official Tomato Wine store. Go fly over there by clicking the link in the description below to find some really awesome aviation products. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to go leave a like and subscribe for future videos. In the meantime, keep flying high.